Hello. What's up, Michigan? How are you guys doing? I am indeed Alexis. I do not have a bus this time. The last time I was here, I was so excited. We brought a bus. We had this amazing start to what ended up being, I think it was an 86 university book tour. Thank you for those of you who came out for that. This will not be the exact same talk, don't worry. And just out of curiosity, I heard a lot of schools were in attendance, a lot of schools. Just by a show of hands, though, who thinks they've gone the furthest to come here? And if actually don't use your hand, just shout it out. What's the furthest we got? What do you think? Whoa. I heard New York, and as a New Yorker, I'm thrilled, but I think UK. India wins. Nice. Bravo. Whoa. Damn, player. Okay. Okay, and you played it all cool, too, because you were just like, I'm just going to let them all name it. Oh, yeah, UK dude. Yeah, he thinks he came a long way. Dropped it. Lovely. Awesome. Awesome. You guys may not know this, and it's tricky, right? Because so much of this stuff we can't appreciate at the moment, in that moment in time, in that moment in history. But as an old person, I am 31, I have a bit of perspective on where you all are right now in your lives. Hear me out, okay? Because this is a really big deal, and I'm thrilled, absolutely thrilled to be here, back at the University of Michigan, here at MHacks. Now, my story, 9 years ago, basically got started when I graduated from the University of Virginia. Now, wait, how many? We got one, two, couple wahoos. Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming out. I know Virginia Tech tends to show up at these things. But you know what? We're building a bridge. We are building a bridge. And I'll tell you, I was a college student there. First year, I should say. I moved in, and I saw this blonde-haired, blue-eyed angel named Steve, and he was playing Gran Turismo. And I was so thrilled, because I didn't think anyone else played video games. And lo and behold, here he was, sitting there in front of his PS2. And I was like, hi, Steve. And I was so happy to meet him. He was less so, because he had seen my name on the door and thought I was a girl. Because he was like, oh, Alexis. And we still became friends, though. And it changed my life. That was just a random meeting of some random person I met in college. Let me make a point. I'm going to say a lot of things about how screwed up a lot of existing systems and status quo are, but let me point out, there would be no Reddit. There would be no Hipmunk. There'd be no book tour. There'd be no Small Empires. There'd be no really me on a stage had I not actually gone to UVA, had I not actually checked that little box to say old dorms, which at the time seemed kind of silly, even though old dorms are obviously way better than new dorms. But at the time seemed kind of silly, but that was a simple checkbox I still think about to this day, because it's the reason that I got to know Steve. But all right, the point is, we were there living at UVA, and I saw him, we met, it was amazing, and then I had a waffle that changed my life, because I was going to be a lawyer, and I went to a Waffle House, and Georgia Tech's representing. I ate a lot of waffles on my trip there. I have a special place in my heart for it, and I believe there may even be a waffle surprise for some of you later. They're great not only for life-changing decisions, but also just if you're hungry, maybe with the munchies. But we're getting there. Don't worry, we're going to get there, all right? I will be up tokes, sir. I'll be the first in line for that investment. But anyway, when we started, and this is the crazy thing, right? Because here we were, just two bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. Wow, that was me and Steve. And this is the TLDR. In case you didn't see the tour or the talk, that's the TLDR. All right, we had no fucking clue what we were doing. No clue. And here's the thing, no one does. Okay, 9 years later, I still most of the time don't know. Most people don't. So I want to plant that seed right now, so you didn't even have to read the book. That's the gist. And then the other thing that I'm really, oh, come on. My Jedi mind powers, there they are, they're back. They're back. Some Sith in here. Okay, that's the other thing, is entrepreneurship is for everyone. This word is getting blown up because in the 21st century, everyone will need to think of themselves as an entrepreneur because knowledge is more accessible than ever, and a stage to show off what you have learned is more accessible than ever. And few know it better than you in this audience right here. Okay, because this is an amazing moment in history, okay? Now, how many of you are here at a hackathon for the first time, just by a show of hands? Are you serious? Awesome. Wow. Wow. Oh, well done. Well done. Now, you may have some friends of yours who are like, you're spending your weekend doing what? But trust me, right decision, okay? This is the right decision. Because like I said, no one really has it all figured out. No one ever has. But right now we're at a time where there is so much change happening. There's so much innovation happening. There's just so much stuff being manipulated, by being adapted, being transformed by people just like us, that no one has the playbook, but you all here with that state of mind are in the best position to be creating the future you want to live in. And it's all through software, right? It's not something that's going to necessarily be on a syllabus, right? Turns out if you Google image search for syllabus, you find like 6 pages of clip art. So let that be an indication. Now again, let me stress, there'd be no Reddit if I hadn't gone to college. But we are at a time when so much technology, so much change is happening. You can't expect any real syllabus, any real thing to be able to keep up and adapt. But a hackathon, the self-teaching, the fact that you guys are here on your own volition, you all paid really good money or took on way too much student loan debt. We need to get that solved too, to go to college. And yet here you are, self-learning, deciding, you know what, this is actually kind of cool. You're volunteering your time. The economists in the room are like, that has utility, right? You are taking your time, your valuable time, and applying it towards more learning. You get this stuff free back at school, but you're doing this, and that's awesome, because that is the future of education. And once that switch flips in your brain, you start seeing every hurdle, every challenge, every new weird thing as an opportunity to hack it, the whole world changes. You guys, I don't want to date myself, but you guys remember The Matrix, right? Yes, that is what will happen. There were no sequels, by the way. But at the end of it, remember when Neo did the thing and he saw the green code? That is what life is like once you realize that, okay? And you all are in the process of it right now. You took the first step by coming here. And I want to see more of this, okay? Because like I said, I did this crazy bus tour last year. It was a lot of fun. But like I said, so much of what I encountered, 80+ universities, were so many administrators, so many faculty, so many students wondering, what do I do? What's the move? And the reality is, I don't know. I know it's going to be some kind of an evolution, and I know this is kind of ironic, which is why I put this up here, by the way. Make sure you get a little exercise, too. This is also important. We spend a lot of our lives in front of computers. Health, I don't care how hardcore of a founder you are. You don't need to be all like, I don't sleep for 2 weeks and I eat garbage. That is bad, okay? Rest is important, all right? And reasonable amounts of exercise as well, too. But you guys are here to hack, okay, right? You're here to make stuff. That's what you're here for. Yeah, it just keeps going. Just keeps going. That's the biggest thing I learned from an 86-stop university tour was animated GIFs. That's it. That's the solution to everything. But look, tools, right? As humans, we have used tools for a lot of stuff in the last few thousand years. We've done a lot. We've built tools on tools on tools, right? But in the last 100 years, the tools we have been able to create, thanks to software, have an exponential ability to change our worlds. This is crazy. I mean, we have seen this kind of explosive change and growth before, right? We saw a time before we had the printing press. There were people whose full-time jobs it was, and I guess a bunch of monks too, to just scribe, to just write stuff, write copies down of books, which obviously limited the distribution of knowledge a little bit. And then some dude named Gutenberg, you guys know the history lesson, printing press, voila, this gives birth to so much knowledge, the Renaissance, the Enlightenment, all that stuff, just because you could take an idea and spread it really easily without having to waste all that time scribbling down the notes, and I've got terrible penmanship, so I would have been terrible at it. But the point is, that changed the game. Now imagine you were living back in Europe back then, and you were one of the few who was lucky enough to have had access to some of those books and have had access to that literacy. Think of how far ahead of the rest of the game you would have been. But ultimately, it was a very, very, very small fraction of very privileged people who first got the access. And if you start looking at a global scale, it starts becoming really mind-numbing. But I'm going to get back to that, okay? Because knowledge, that ability to learn from one another, right? Because we're all just copy machines. That's all we do. Everything's a remix. We see something, whether it's a recipe or a way to, I don't know, a typeface, and we think that's cool. Let me copy it, maybe improvise and make it a little bit better. But think, one of the most catastrophic events of Western civilization was when the library in Alexandria burned, okay, because of all the knowledge that was lost, because of all of that tragedy, and it really was, right? But the entirety of that knowledge that went up in smoke there is sitting hundreds, no, thousands of times over in your pockets, in your phones. And if you've got that phone and you're able to get on the internet, it's not even comparable. Right? The amount of knowledge we have now, a 12-year-old sitting on her smartphone has access to more knowledge in real time than the President of the United States did just a few decades ago. That is crazy, but it's awesome. And you all are sitting here at the forefront at this same very pivotal moment, and you're deciding to learn the new fluency, the new literacy for the 21st century, which is code. All right, I know it seems really hyperbolic, but really, I'm seeing this happen. I've been lucky enough to have a front row seat for this, right? I was lucky enough to meet up with Steve that first year, that first day, and we co-founded Reddit. I've worked with him to launch another startup, Hipmunk. I'm now an investor in about 100 startups, and I recently rejoined Y Combinator. We'll get back to that later. In the last 10 years, there's been so much, but it's still just a fraction of what you all are capable of, okay? You all, face it, you guys, you're wizards. You're fucking wizards, okay? That is what the power of software is. And look, in just the last 4 years, right? Look at what it's done to hardware, okay? This Myo that I'm wearing on my, like, this wasn't even conceivable 4 years ago. And it was started by some university students up there in Canada, up America's hat, right? Incidentally, Canadians are really nice about that too. They actually laugh at that as well. They're so wonderful. But really, this is, and I don't know where it's headed, but all signs indicate to basically you all doing wizardry. It's downright sorcery right now because the rest of the game, whether it's in the United States, whether it's in Canada, whether it's across the world, is just starting to get online and just starting to see this come to fruition. And you all here we are in such a fortunate position right now to have the access that we do. Please take full advantage of it. And I want to talk about the other status quo things, right? I want to talk about resumes and CVs and GPAs. This is the thing the professors love, okay? These are going to be the resumes of the future, right? Your Stack Overflow profile, right? What have you made? What have you done? What have you contributed? What have you built? Do you see a GPA on there? No. Do you see a university on there? No. Your GitHub account, right? Like, what's on there? The stuff that you've made, the stuff that you've contributed, the stuff that you built. This is what investors like me want to see. This is what employers want to see. They want to know a lot more about what you have created than perhaps what grade you got on that test. Again, your professors may hate me, and I'm not saying everyone drop out, but I'm saying that the things that we are looking to value now are more about what you can do and not about how well you can do on a test. Okay, and that's just fundamentally useful, right? That for the rest of your lives, you will find yourself coming back to that. And that same hunger that brought you here for knowledge and curiosity, let it keep going, let it grow, all right? Now, at YC, we have our own application form, and we don't ask for, thoughtful essays. We don't care about your GPA. We want to know if you understand something the rest of the world doesn't yet. And this seemed kind of crazy at the time when PG and Jessica were first crafting this application. You think they ever would have imagined that this kid would have submitted something like this? I mean, this doesn't make any sense, right? A college student, how could a college student with no real world experience know something that an entire industry doesn't? How could some college student know something that Google hasn't figured out or Amazon won't figure it out? I mean, Drew Houston was just a college student who had an idea. This is actually from Dropbox's Y Combinator application, right? And that was a company, need I remind you, that was started on a bus. He was actually in South Station taking a Chinatown bus to New York when he left his thumb drive. Didn't have the files on him, obviously, and decided, I'm going to solve this problem, right? These can start from humble beginnings, and what's so crazy is even the experts, right? Even Paul and Jessica saw that there was something there, but they didn't quite know what it was going to be. None of them would say that they would have expected it to have grown as fast and epically as it has in such a short period of time. But look, that's kind of nice, though, right? Because it means we have to start wondering about everything. Right? We have to start wondering if we're a hotel operator just 5 years ago, could we ever have competition from, I don't know, a couple college students? Because they've got an air mattress. They can't possibly compete with us, and yet in 5 years, Airbnb has more rooms than Hilton. Right? Who saw that coming? Well, they did, but even they were still trying to figure it out. They struggled for a year and a half. Read all these stories. They're all freely available. But the point is, we're all hacking this. And that's an opportunity for every one of you, even to look at things that were ridiculed during the last tech boom. Remember Webvan? Actually, none of you probably do. I was in high school during Webvan, and I remember it getting ridiculed. because it was an epic failure. It cost a lot of money. And then lo and behold, someone realized, hey, you know what? You don't need to own all the trucks. You just need a smartphone. And you can pay these shoppers $15 to $20 an hour to do a really efficient job picking out those groceries and delivering them. This was the scalable way to do online, nearly instant grocery delivery. And it didn't involve a fleet of trucks. It involved software and hardware that was so trivial that 60% of Americans had it. Now, like I said, you guys are wizards. That is awesome, okay? And if I can stretch this Harry Potter thing a little bit more, there are lots of you here, right, who may, and you heard that very honest, very candid story from Dave, may at times feel like, I don't know, you're a little overwhelmed, right? We've all been there. Trust me, we have all been there, myself included. And so please, I ask, for all of you who have taken the amazing step, and there's a ton of you, you guys outnumber the veterans, okay? So remember that. You always outnumber them. But please make this as awesome a place for everyone. If you see someone who's looking for a partner or see someone who's a little bit confused about what's going on with this thalamic on their bicep or whatever, forearm, biology, help them out. Make this as amazing a place for anyone as possible. Now, I assume you guys are going to get a little addicted to hackathons, which is a pretty common thing. As you start going to more of these, this year in particular, especially now that hackathons are sort of a thing now, right? It's official. It is happening, all right? Go out of your way to bring someone who's never written a line of code before, all right? Bonus points if they don't look anything like you. Because this is how we are going to get the world of the future that we all deserve. The world of the future that benefits from the talent and the genius and the brilliance of everyone, of at least as many people as we can. Remember I said at the very start, oh no, come back. What I said at the very start was that the Renaissance was an amazing thing, and Western civilization credits it with the creation of so much ingenuity and culture. It's lasted for so long, right? And Michelangelo was sitting there lying on his back for 4 years painting a ceiling, and Raphael. Raphael was painting for years, and these were just a few. These were just a few of the people who were lucky enough to get the access to have their genius scale, so to speak, right? Because Renaissance Europe still only affected a pretty small region, a very small population in a very small region of the world. And as we all know, software is much more wide-reaching. And the next great idea is going to come from anywhere. There's someone with an internet connection and access to software. And so I just want to make sure we get all the best stuff we can. And we can actually make an impact right here because of where we are, right? At the start of this hacking season, I really hope, I want to come, I'm going to be at the MIT hackathon, I'm going to swing by a few more. YC is going to have a presence almost, I think, at every one of them. But I want to see by the end of this hackathon season, I want entirely new auditoriums built just for hackathons to accommodate all of the people who are excited to go there. And I want them to look just as representative as of the United States as possible. And look, the most important thing you guys have to remember, and this is the really serious thing, okay, is have an amazing fucking time, all right? This is college. Have a great time with this. Build amazing stuff. And then remember, you guys, upvotes for all of you. Thank you very much.